Welcome to Learn Commerce PU online classes. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Welcome to second PU Computer Science online classes. In last class we already discussed some chapters, maybe our data structures, or maybe we can say as the basic concept of the object oriented programming. Now today's our new chapter, the name of the chapter classes and objects. Chapter 7 classes and objects here. So in this chapter we are going to start by using or with introduction. So in our introduction, why? Because in previous chapter we have learnt the fundamental units of an object oriented programming. Now what are the fundamentals units of an object oriented programming? So in last chapter whatever we learnt the fundamental units that are maybe data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, object, classes are called as the fundamentals units of an object oriented programming. Now in this chapter let us understand some basic unit of data representation. So what are the basic unit of data representation? The basic unit of data representation that are classes and objects, or in simple words we can say that for the development of any object oriented programming by using basic units that are classes and the objects in this case here. Now here, or simply in other words, the elementary concept of the or of any object oriented programming, that is the classes and the objects here. We know that the classes, why? Because here a class is a keyword in our C++. We know the meaning of the class. A class is a template from which objects are created. That means here, or the class combines data and functions here. But also before going to tell, why? Because I already said the elementary concept of object oriented programming, that is the classes and the objects here, and the class is a keyword. Now what is the meaning of the keyword? The keyword is a predefined word. It is a reserved word, and that it gives special meaning to the compiler. Some example we can say private, public, auto, int, float. That means it gives special meaning to the compiler. We can't change their spelling or the meaning here. So this is the meaning about our keyword. So class is a very powerful keyword in our C++ here, and a class declaration. Why? Because we are in the chapter of classes and the object. I want to create the class. So before that only I need to declare the class here. So a class declaration defines new user defined data type. Okay, here it defining new user defined data type. We know that. Why? Because later words I will tell some general syntax for the class. Maybe it will be clear to everyone here, but also before that only I want to tell some important note about our class here. So the class declaration defines new user defined data type, and this new user defined data type combines the data and the code. Why? Because we know that the data variables or data, that is our data only here, or the code, many names are there for the code, maybe the operation, functions is called as the code here. So that link the data and the code, okay here, and the code that operate by using the data only here. So this is the most important note about our classes and the objects. Okay, now here, why? Because a class combines the data elements and the operation only called as the functions. So a class combines the data element and the operation. function into a single entity here. So now just only I completed the introduction about our class, about the keyword, which keyword going to use in our class program here in object oriented programming. The keyword of the class is just called as the class only here. Now later let's see what about the member data and the member functions. So the member data and the member functions. So member data means here the data element in a class, used in a class, is called as the member data. So what is a member data? The data element used in a class or in a class is called as the member data, and the member function means a functions in a class called as the member functions. Okay. Now the next concept about the definition and declaration of classes and objects. Now which one is called? Why? Because here the definition of classes and declaration of the objects, you should remember it here, but I written in one line only the definition and declaration of classes and the object. Actually it's a definition of classes and declaration of the objects. Now here our definition and declaration of a class says something. So a class definition is a process of naming a class. Okay, it is the process of naming a class here. In case if you are going to use naming a class here, it is the process of naming a class, the naming of the data variables and also the interface operation of the class. Now what about the interface operation of the class? So this is called as the class definition. So the class definition means when you are going to give some name to the class, it called as the definition of the class here. So such definition of a class is the process of naming a class, give some name to the class here, or maybe the naming of the data variables, maybe what are the data you are going to use in class, or maybe the interface, naming of the interface operation of the class. The interface only called as the member function, that means called as the function here. So this is about our definition of a class here. Now later words about the declaration of a class. So what about the declaration? So a class declaration specifies the representation of the object of the class. When you are going to declare any object in the class, it is called as the class declaration. Clear this one here? When you are going to declare any object, it comes in case of the class declaration. That means it specifies the representation of object of the class and maybe set of operation that can be applied to the objects. Okay, kya? Maybe some set of the operation, many member function we are going to use with the objects. It comes in case of the our declaration of the class here, and such definition and declaration of the class indicates the following. Some of the points are there about the definition and declaration of the class here. So in this case we can say that about the first point is the data variables. The data variable known as member data of the class. Why? Because in class we know that data and functions, and the function operating by using the data only here. So some of the important note about our definition and declaration of the class. So the first note or point we can say data variables. So data variables known as member data of the class describe the characteristics of the class here. Maybe the class name is the we can say that fruits. That means here objects, the member data we are going to create apple, mango, banana, like that here. So the first point, that means here it describes the characteristics of the class here. And second thing, member functions. So member function are set of operation. Just only in class we can't use get data function. If you are using get data, just only you are going to input the data, but with input data, with get data, we need to use another member function, that is the display data or the put data. If you are using, then only whatever here we get through by using input function here, such one going to display by using our display data function here. So the member function are a set of operations, okay here, and that are performed on the object of the class here. That means here maybe there may be here 0 or more member function we are going to use in one class, okay. Maybe the 0 or more member function going to use in a class, and this member function is also called as or known as the interface, okay here. It also called as the interface here. And the third one, the third most important point here, in class we need to use some of the access control specifiers. So some of the access control specifiers are private, public, protected here. So the access control specifier to the class members within the program are specified. Maybe it's a simple program or any kind of program, we need to start from the access specifier after declaring the class, after writing or after using the class name here. Later words within the flower bracket we need to use some of the access specifiers here. So the access specifier to the class members within the class are specified, okay here. And later next one is the class tag name. So in a class we should use the class tag name, whatever the name we are using for the class should use it from beginning to the end of the program, okay here. Why? Because just to know which class the function belongs to here, otherwise maybe the external non-member function going to access the data. In case I already said one most important characteristics, data encapsulation. The data encapsulation hiding the data, that means the data can be accessed only by the functions, okay here. Such data, whatever the data is there in class, such data can be accessed only by the functions that are present inside the class. What are the functions are there in a class, such data can be accessed only by the functions here. So we can say the fourth point here, the class tag name. Why? Because for external operation for accessing and manipulating instance of a class. We already discussed some definition and declaration of classes and objects. We know that the class definition is the process of naming a class, naming of data variables, and also the naming of the interface operation of the class. And the class declaration specifies the representation of the object of the class and some set of operations that are performed on the object or that can be applied to the object. We already know the both meaning of class definition and declaration. After the class definition and declaration, some important general syntax for class. So which syntax going to apply for the general syntax of the class? How we are going to create the class here? So we know that, but because here the class is the keyword and it is very powerful keyword in our C++. User defined name, opening of the flower bracket, private, member data, member functions, protected, member data, member functions, public, member data, member function, closing of flower bracket, semicolon. So this is called about our general syntax for class. Now the keyword class is used to declare a class. How we are going to create the class? By using keyword name that is used as the class. So the keyword class is used to declare a class. User defined name is the name of the class. Any name we can use, it is a user defined name. We know that meaning of user defined name, that means it is defined by the user. So any name we can use, that is called as the user defined name. And the class, or here we can say that the class body. Now which one is called as the class body? So whatever you are going to write, opening of the flower bracket and closing of the flower bracket by using semicolon from here to here, it is called as the class body. So the class body enclosed in a pair of flower brackets. Okay, the class body enclosed in a pair of flower brackets here, and a class body contains the declaration of its member. It going to declare, or we can say the declaration of its member. The members are, one is the member data and the member functions, and there are generally three type of members are there in our class. The three type of members are private, protected, public. Okay, so this is the explanation about our general syntax for a class here. Now let's see whatever the syntax here I used. Just only by using such a syntax I completed one simple example for by using the class. Okay, here, or simply we can say that let us declare the class for the representation of the bank account. I already said keyword class is used to declare the class. So I started by using the keyword class, and here the account is the user defined name. That means here I used the name for the class, the name of the class, that is the account. Okay, and later next one whatever I want to declare, I am going to declare just by using the body of the class, just by using our flower brackets, opening of the flower brackets and closing of the flower bracket by using the semicolon. Okay, and here the class account contains the four member data. The four member data are account number, name, account type, balance amount. Okay, here, so the member data, there are four member data are there, or the class our account contain the four member data and two member functions. Okay, and the member data are private by default. Should remember it, when you are going to declare any data, should use it by using the access specifier, that is the private. So the member data are private by default, and these two member function, the member function names are, one is the get data and second one is the put data. So these two member functions are public by default. Okay, here, so this is about our keyword class, and name of the class is the account here. Four member data, account number, name, account type, balance amount, and these two comes in case of the access specifier. The name of the access specifier is called as the public, and closing of the flower bracket by using the semicolon. And the function are get data and put data are used to write the instructions. Okay, here are used to write the instruction to perform the operations by using the member data. Okay, are used to write the instructions to perform the operations on the member data here. So this is about our, or finally we can say in this case such a data, whatever the data is there, why? Because it provides some security to the data. Such a data can be accessed only by the member functions, okay, that are present inside the class here. The other function, the other external non-member function cannot access the data of the class account here. Such a data can be accessed only by the member function. The member function are get data and the put data can be accessed only by the member function that are present inside the class. The class name is the account here. And later let's see some important or one simple program, and such program show the use of classes and the object. Okay, here the program to show the use of classes and the object. We know that, well, because the first thing whatever the program you are going to write, such one going to start by using the header file. The header file is the #include iostream.h. Okay, and the second header file #include conio.h. iostream is using to input and output the data here, and conio, the conio is using to CLR SCR, for the CLR SCR to clear the screen. So such header file going to use, and in this case we already know the class is a keyword. The keyword is used to declare the class. Okay, the keyword is used to declare the class, and such class name I want to use the name of the class as the test. Clear this part here? So this one is the user defined name here. And after that I want to use some of the class body. So such class body is going to enclose in a pair of flower brackets. Clear this point here? It is going to use in a pair of flower brackets in this case here. So such in our A and B are the member data of the class test. Why? Because we know that the member data are going to declare by using the access specifier. The access specifier is the private. Okay. So A and B are the member data of the class test here, and the member functions are, the first member function is the getNum and second member function is the show data here. So getNum is using, why? Because here to enter the number for the addition, or the get function is used to input the data value. I want to input some value into the letter or into the variables A and B here. So just only I am going to use to display the message. The message first of all going to use as the enter number for the addition. Okay, and later such one going to input by using SYN operation. The SYN full form is the console input, and here I am going to enter the value for the variables A and B, and whatever the flower bracket we opened, such flower bracket going to close it here, and later next one, this second function. Why? Because if you are not using the second function, we can't display the sum of or the addition of two numbers here. This function is using just only to input the data. In case you want to display the data on monitor, on output screen, how it going to display? So by using this second member function, the second function name is the show data. Okay, here. So void show data, and just one message I am going to use addition of two numbers. So whatever the value, if I use the value for A as 10, B value as also 10 here, that means it going to make the addition A plus B. So total value will get as the 20, and whatever the flower bracket we open, such one going to close it here, and later next one more flower bracket. Now till here it is called as the class definition. Okay, so this one is called as the class definition, the end of class definition. We already know, show the use of classes and objects. Before going to start the program, first of all we need to write the header file, iostream conio. So iostream input and output, conio to clear the screen, and class keyword, test class name, member data are A and B, and I am going to declare by using access specifier private, and member functions are getNum, show data. So such one going to declare or write by using access specifier public, and getNum is using here to input the number, to input the data values here, and later what about this SYN function, console input, and using to enter the value for A and B, and whatever we enter, such one going to display by using another function name show data, and such here I am going to write one message, the addition of two numbers. It going to just add the number, display the sum of two numbers A plus B number, and closing of flower bracket, and one more flower bracket by using semicolon. Still here it is called as end of class definition. So class definition is the process of naming a class, naming of the data variables, and naming of the interface operation. Here in this example or in this program, two interface operation, one is getNum, second one is the show data. So this is about our class definition. And class declaration. So which one is called as the class declaration? Class declaration representing or specifying the object of the class. From here to here it is called as the class declaration. The main function going to return the value. If you are using void main, you are not no need to write the return 0 here. Maybe the main function name is the void. But here I used int. So because of this reason I am going to write after the get ch return 0. So any object going to declare the object name in this program A1. Such object name is going to declare by using the class name. Why? Because class name is the test. So the same class name we need to write. So test A1. A1 is the object name. For CLR SCR, I already returned the header file. Header file is the conio.h. Okay. And later next one A1.getNum, A1.showData. I already said the class declaration specifies the representation of the objects, the representation of the declaration of the objects here, and also set of operation. The operation, set of function. Why? Because interface, operation, function, everything are the same here. So getNum and showData. So here the representation of the function or object of the class and set of operation that can be applied by using the object. So this one is called as the class declaration. So in this example or in this program, we can say keyword and AB are the data member of the class test. Member functions are getNum, showData are the member functions. GetNum is used to input data values, to add, to enter the values, okay, and showData using addition of two numbers, or simply in other words display the sum of two numbers, okay. And A1 is the object, declaring the object, the name of the object in this program A1, such one going to declare by using the class name is the test, okay. And after that, let us see some of the access specifiers. So there are three access specifiers are there, we already know. I already used in this program the private, public, and one more is that protected. Now it will be clear. Why? Because in this program I did write the access specifier protected. Laterwards I will explain about the protected here. But before that, let's about the access specifiers. An object, why? Because this is the object of this program. An object is defined to be an instance of a class. Without this object, it is not possible to interact with the member function. Correct now? A1 going to interact with the member function. So, an object is defined to be an object of a class here, and here three access specifier we need to use for the access protection. Every class need to use or need to specify three access specifier or three access protection specifier for hiding the data here, okay, for hiding our data, or simply we can say that the member function internal to the class. That means whatever the functions, whatever the data are there in the class here, such data can be accessed only by the member functions, okay. So the member function internal to the class here. Or what about the scope of the access specifier? The access specifier scope is, or simply we can say that the access specifier define the scope of the data, the limitation of the data here. And if the access specifier are indicated by using the following keywords. So three access specifiers are there here, or we can say that the keyword of the access specifier are private, public, protected, okay. Here access specifier define the scope of the data. The scope of the data means limitation. The private data not possible to access by using other class here. So some of the limitations, some of the scope, some of the rules are there here. So the access specifier indicated by using the keywords. So some keyword of the access specifier are private, public, protected. Now what do you mean by a private? So the private access means that the member data can be accessed only by the member functions. You know about this one. Why? Because the data abstraction, correct no kya? Or we can say that data encapsulation in this case. The data encapsulation, hiding the data. So for the private, now just I said the private access means that the member data, whatever the data declaring in our by using the private here, such data can be accessed only by the member functions, or simply the member under private are accessible only within the class. And maybe if no access specifier is mentioned, maybe sometime you are going to write the access specifier name as the private, or without the use of the, without the name of the private also, such member data is just only considered as the private data only. Okay, kya? So if no access specifier is mentioned, then by default the members are the private data members only. Kya? So maybe by writing the private or without private here, such data is considered as the private access data, member data only. So this is about our private. So for the private, we can use the example as the int a comma b. Okay, kya? Int a comma b. So in one line only I declared two variables just by using the comma here, the two variables a and b. Okay, kya? If you want to declare separately, int a semicolon, int b semicolon. So this is about our private. So the private access means that the member data can be accessed only by the member function. Whatever the data we are declaring under private, accessed only by the member function of that class. Okay. If no access specifier is mentioned, then by default the members are the private. So this is about our private access specifier. Now second thing about the public. So in our public access specifier, whatever the member we are going to declare under public, such member function or maybe any member data also we can declare can be accessed by any function outside the class also. Some of the difference is that the private data accessed only by the function that are present inside the class. But public means maybe any members are going to declare under public, such functions, such data can be accessed by any class outside the class also. Okay, kya? So example we can write as the void get num and void show data. Okay, clear this point here? And finally about our protected, but in this program I didn't use the access specifier protected. Why? Because we know that the protected access specifier similar to the private access specifier. Now what do you mean by it? Now just I completed one word similar. Okay, kya? The private or we can, the protected access specifier is similar to the private access specifier. Now what's the meaning of the private access specifier? The private access specifier means the member declared under private that means accessed only by the member functions that are present inside the class. Okay, the member cannot be accessed from outside. Should remember it. The member cannot accessed from outside. The outside class function cannot access such a data. So this is the access, the explanation about our access specifiers. Thank you.